Hi, this is Daniel Scrivner here with a quick preview of our next 20-minute playbook episode number 134, which comes out tomorrow. In it, I'm joined by Chris Sparks. Chris began his career as a high-stakes poker player and became one of the top 20 online poker players in the world. To achieve that, he studied elite performers across disciplines and started optimizing every area of his own life, which led Chris to found Forcing Function and begin working with the best founders, investors, executives, poker players, and even artists to optimize their own performance and move more quickly towards their goals. Here's just a single quote from one of Chris's many clients. Zach Cantor, the founder of Steady, which is backed by Stripe, Union Square Ventures, and Bloomberg Beta, said, "Chris is a machine. Working with him as a startup founder is like having a cheat code. Mastering performance means mastering yourself. For the first time in my life, I feel like I can finish anything." In this episode, you'll learn why Chris is fascinated with game theory, why anytime we choose to pursue a goal, we're choosing to play a game, most of which have defined rules that we need to learn to maximize our chances of success. What Chris learned as a top 20 poker player, including why he stays focused on the process rather than the results he's receiving at any moment in time, and why he approaches every hand played as a learning opportunity. Why Chris's daily routines are extremely simple, and why complicated routines are fragile. Chris shares his top 3 values, which are wisdom, integrity, and adventure. We talk about what each means to him, and how anyone listening can identify their own top 3 values. Chris shares his favorite micro habits, he shares his favorite books, including The Goal and the 5th Discipline Field Book, and so much more. It's an incredible conversation you won't want to miss. Here's one of my favorite moments from it. Tune in tomorrow to listen to the full episode. What sorts of values and standards do you bring to your work every day? And, what I mean by that is what's important to you about how you show up day to day in this, in terms of how you show up for your partner at home, how you show up at work, how you show up for the company, how you show up for your clients. Just maybe talk for a second about values and standards and how you think about those.
I love talking about values. One of my favorite exercises to assign and encourage, I call simply the top values exercise. This is adapted from a workbook that I love called the 5th Discipline Field Book, one of those management classics that I think has stood the test of time. And in a nutshell, what this exercise does is you first select all of the values that you think are important to you, things that you would identify with. And maybe you have a list of 20 or 50, people value a lot of things, but you have to systematically whittle those down to, hey, these are my top 10, these are my top 5, these are my top 3. Okay, now rank order those. This is my top value, this is my second value, this is my third value. And this starts to get really uncomfortable for people as you're saying, wait, I can't be a billionaire and spend a lot of time with my family. Well, you could, but a lot of other things are going to have to get sacrificed. So which one comes first? It's oh, you're saying that I can't work out for 3 hours a day and travel around the world all the time. Well, you could, but it's going to be very difficult, right? There's a lot of these, every decision we make is a values trade-off, or you're having to decide that one value is more important than another value. And we say, hey, all of these things are really important. But at the end of the day, that's what you're doing is saying, hey, I value this more. So the obvious conclusion that I came to is if we're making these value trade-offs all the time, let's make them upfront so we can make trade-off decisions that are most aligned with us. So I find this super powerful as I say, hey, this is my top value. This is what comes first. Anytime this value is at stake, this is what I'm optimizing for. And then second, and then third. So these 3 top values, these are mine. I check in on these once a quarter because values, priorities do shift, and I think they should shift. Mine are wisdom, integrity, and adventure. And real briefly, because definitions are important, this is what these 3 mean to me. So wisdom is my mission. I think a lot of my purpose in life is to explore this question of what makes a good life. And the most important follow-up to that is, okay, if we discover what a good life is, how do we live like that? And I think a lot of what I do, a lot of my presence and curiosity in the world is geared towards trying to answer this question or at least limit it down. The second is integrity. And this is a relatively new one on my list, but I recognize because I'm an extremely competitive guy, I was very susceptible to taking on the values and goals of others who I saw as successful rather than getting in tune with my definitions of success, my inner scorecard. So this is my reinforcement of all things being equal. I walk my own path. I run my experiments. I evaluate things from first principles. Plus, I'm a man of my word. I say what I'm going to do, all this type of stuff. But it really comes down to like, I am running my own race. Like there are no other competitors. This is a pure time trial. So integrity is staying true to myself. And then finally is adventure. And this has been an ongoing theme of my life for a long time. So I spent about half of the year traveling. I spent multiple years where all I did was travel. I do lots of things that I think are fun, that push myself. And I think there's a lot of, it's really underrated to just stay in the game, to just be doing for something for long enough in order to get lucky. So I find that if I'm having fun, if I'm treating something like an adventure, I'm a lot more likely to go deep into something, to fully explore the boundaries of it, to fully explore the possibilities. So it's not only valuing, hey, doing adventures, doing things that push myself, that are growth-oriented activities is really important, but also trying to bring a sense of fun and adventure to everything that I do. So these three values I find very helpful anytime I'm deciding what project to take on, who I want to work with, what do I prioritize in a given day, in a given week. It all comes back to what optimizes for these values the most. So if you want to check out that exercise, you can do it. It's on forcingfunction.com/top values.